welcome back to my channel Learn with Deepika. Today in this video we're gonna learn about lines and pair of lines. So before we start with that, let's see what exactly geometry is. Geometry is derived from two Latin words, geometron, where geo means earth and metron means measurement. So it is concerned with relationship and properties of points, lines, surface and solid. In terms of dimension, we can write point as a 0 dimension, line as 1 dimension, surface 2D and solids as 3 dimension. We learn geometry to discover pattern around us and to find length, area, volume of different shapes. And we have segregated geometry in two parts. One is plane geometry and another one is solid geometry. In plane geometry, we study about flat surfaces, for example, circle, triangle, rectangle, etc. And in 3D geometry, we study about shapes like cube, cuboid, cylinder, frustum, etc. Now we will talk about point. Point is something which has 0 dimension. That means it has no length, no breadth and no height. You may think a point as a dot on a piece of paper or dot on this whiteboard. So yes, that's a point. But in geometry, a point is an exact location on the plane. And when you have to denote a point, it is always denoted by a capital letter of English alphabet. For example, if I have to represent this, so I'll write this as a point A, or you can write as any point as B. So this is the way how we represent a point. Now we have collinear points and non-collinear points. Collinear point means 3 or more than 3 points which lie on a same straight line are collinear points. Why I am saying 3 and more than 3? Because if I talk about 2 points, then they will always lie on a same straight line. Okay, so 2 points always lie on same straight line. So here I am writing 3 and more than 3. So now if they are collinear points, that means they will lie on same straight line, and let's say these points are A, B, C and this line as line L. Okay. And what is non-collinear points? It's exactly opposite of collinear points. That means these 3 points will not lie on same straight line. For example, we have a point P, Q, R. You can see I cannot make a straight line passing through all these 3 points. So these are non-collinear. And remember, 2 points are always collinear. Now we will discuss what is meant by a ray. Okay, tell me what comes to your mind when you think of a ray. Is it sun rays? Right. You see, these rays start from a point and goes endlessly. So yes, rays is something which has a starting point but no end point. And this is how you can make a figure of ray. PQ is a ray where P is the end point and Q is a point somewhere on this ray, right? And this is the way how we represent a ray, PQ. And you cannot write this way. If you write QP, this is wrong, because QP means the end point is Q and P is some point on this ray, right? Now, what will be the length of this ray? As it is never going to end, that means it has infinite length. Now we will see what is line. Line is set of infinite points in one dimension. That means it has only length, no breadth, no height. Okay, and this is how you can represent line AB or BA. And this is the figure of line. We have A and B, 2 points on this line L, right? And you can write it both way, AB or BA, it's one and the same thing. And again, because it is never going to end, because it has no end points. If you see, we have no end points in case of line. So again, its length will be infinite, right? Now let's come to line segment. What is line segment? Line segment is basically a part of a line. It's a part of line, so it has two endpoints. This A and B are the endpoints, and this is how we represent a line segment. You know, on a paper we cannot make a line, it's only a line segment. Just because of this symbol we represent this as a line. And if I ask you what will be the length, its length will not be infinite. Let's say it has length L, so it has finite length. So this is all about ray, line and line segment. Okay, you cannot compare the length between like what will be the length of this ray and this line, because they both are infinite. So you cannot compare like which one will be greater and which will be having more length. Okay, and when we say make a line of 5 centimeter or draw a line, that doesn't mean it's not a line. We just call it a line, okay, but it's actually a line segment, because we cannot draw a line on a piece of paper, right, because it's a infinite. Okay, now we will move to our next topic, that is pair of lines. Let's start with that. Pair of lines. First pair is intersecting line, which means two lines that share exactly one point, or you can say two lines which cross each other. For example, we have two lines here, line L1 and L2, and they cross each other, and or you can say they share exactly one point, and this point is named as P. And this shared point is known as point of intersection. Point of intersection. And if this point is A and B, so line 1 has point AB and this point has PQ. So here we can write that AB line intersects line PQ. Okay. Now the another one is perpendicular line. Perpendicular lines are also type of intersecting line, but the only difference is that in this case they will intersect each other at 90 degree. So in this case we have two intersecting line L1 and L2, and this is the point of intersection, but in this case the angle is equals to 90 degree, right? Now you can write perpendicular line as lines cross each other at 90 degree. Okay. Now I would like to add one more thing, what is perpendicular bisector. Perpendicular bisector means, suppose we have a line segment here, not line, okay, line segment AB, and this line will be a perpendicular bisector if it is at angle 90 degree, and also if it is dividing this line in two equal part. Okay, if AP is equals to PB, and also if line L1 is perpendicular to AB, L1 perpendicular to AB, so its line L1 is a perpendicular bisector. Okay. Now the third one is coincident lines. Coincident line means when one line lie over the other line, and or you can say if it has infinite point of intersection, like in this case we have only one point of intersection, but here you will get infinite point of intersection, because in this case one line is exactly top over the other line. So these are the three pair of lines. Two pair of lines are still remaining. Let's start with those pair. You can note it down. Another pair of line is parallel line. So the most common answer for this question is, if I ask you what is parallel line, the most common answer is lines which do not intersect each other. But that's wrong, because the correct definition is two coplanar lines that do not intersect each other, or you can say that do not have any common point, right? Why I am using a word coplanar? Because in case of parallel lines, two lines should be in a same plane. For example, we have line L1 and L2 and they both are in one plane, and this plane is this whiteboard. So in this case, you will see there is no common point. These lines are never going to meet, they will never touch. So they are parallel lines, right? And this is the way how we represent parallel line, like L1 and then the sign of parallel. L1 is parallel to L2, right? Fourth one is Q lines. This may be new to you, but it's very simple. Like if you observe the definition, it's the simple difference between two. Here I have used the word two coplanar lines which do not meet, and here two non-coplanar lines which do not intersect each other or meet each other, right? Now I cannot make Q lines in this plane. So you have to imagine this marker as another line. Suppose this is your line L2 and this one is line L1. Now this is the one plane and suppose this is the another plane. If I extend this marker in this direction and as well as in this direction, do you think they will ever meet? Yes, they will never meet. So in this case, they are not intersecting each other, but they are not parallel. In fact, these are skew lines. So this is all about lines and pair of lines. And student, if you feel my content is good and you understood this completely, please leave a comment for me. This would be great. And also these days I am getting lots of messages like, ma'am, please start with sets, ma'am, start with the algebra portion or different chapters. I promise you that I will cover all the topics which you are asking for, but just give me some time because it's a new channel and I'm trying to cover most of the topic in a very small time. And if you see my playlist, I have already covered real number, trigonometry and few videos which are not from syllabus but again very interesting.